Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for a very special video for you here today. Now, have you been wondering a little bit more about Odin? I bet you have been, maybe, right? So he's going to be around the corner because honestly, Dark Dimension 8 is probably going to be going live very shortly. Odin is going to be in the next patch when it goes live with Orcus. So I don't know. He's probably going to show up in the roster I mean, he's kind of already here in the portraits, but we're going to be seeing him in the roster very shortly as well. And the launch of DD8 around the corner. And in today's video, we are going to be discussing his entire kit. And I'm going to be sharing that with you guys here today. Now, a couple of things that I want to say in advance is that, he isn't out in the game yet. So I'm going to put my usual, the subject to change line here, because we know that characters have been adjusted, they have been changed before they've been released, after they've been released. And so while the main idea of Odin is going to be here for you guys to take a look at, I think that I'm not going to say this 100% final in terms of what you're going to see when he actually comes out to the game. But for the most part, you will get an idea of what he's all about and what he's going to do. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Okay, actually, let's move to the other screen. So as usual, we are going to be doing this in the PowerPoint presentation style. I feel like this is probably the best thing. Let's do some overviews really quickly here about Odin. So Odin's kit. He is going to be a hero, cosmic, support, mythic, Asgardian trait character. I think that's all of the ones that he has. I don't think I'm missing anything here. The All-Father himself, Odin, is coming to Marvel Strike Force as part of the release method of Dark Dimension 8, releasing very soon, related to Purple ISO 3. I'll have separate videos out on that as well. I've spoke about it in the past, but as far as the characters that I recommend, obviously, that changes slightly, but I have a new video coming out shortly anyways. He will be a mythic character designed to counter MEPHISTO and push Krakens into competing further in the arena and beyond, and especially in PvP. We'll talk about some of the meta implications about Odin towards the end and what I think that, is going to happen with him and where people are going to use him, that kind of stuff. He will also have the Asgardian tag, which may lend itself to some theory crafting outside of the arena, but don't expect, as far as I'm aware, Asgardians are not getting reworked, so don't think that suddenly they're going to be crazy good. It's just that, obviously it would be super weird if Odin did not have the Asgardian tag, right? So it is, luckily it's in there. You can do what you want with it, I guess, in other game modes. Let's move on to the first thing. I want to talk about the passive first, because I think this is going to be the most important thing to understanding Odin and what he's going to do. So his passive is called the All-Father. Now, on enemy turn, these are big, right? These are SA kits, so bear with me. On enemy turn, lose one charged down to a minimum of 1. This isn't, you probably don't know the whole thing yet, but on turn, lose 1 charged, and when this character loses their last charged, generate 6 ultimate ability energy. So he has a very important charge mechanic, as we're going to see further down the line, but he's losing charges every time an enemy takes a turn, but it doesn't completely clear it, so that when he takes his turn, and if he does lose his final charged, then he gets basically like a free ultimate ability. So we'll talk about the rest of the skills. It's just really important to understand this part first. On ally turn, gain assist now. So that's nice that Odin's, I think this means that Odin's basically assisting every time. So he's probably going to be a skirmisher. On stun, clear stun, and gain offense up and speed up. This is pretty typical, right? Like almost every single mythic character since Doom, I believe, has had some way to clear stun or deal with that in some way. He gains 50% damage reduction and resistance. Now, I'm not sure if the 50% also applies to resistance or not, but you'll see further down that this is pretty crazy. This character can also not have their speed bar reduced and cannot gain minor defense up, safeguard, or trauma. Now, this is pretty important because I forget the last character to have this. I think it was Red Hulk, if I'm not mistaken. Red Hulk in War was not able to get defense up because he had some sort of damage reduction caked into his kit. And that's what's happening now again with Odin. So he cannot gain those buffs. And he can't gain safeguard either, which is really interesting. But as you see further down towards the bottom here, also he's completely immune to trauma. So that's interesting and good. The speed of this character can only be reduced by slow, so no Emma Frost mechanic kind of crap. I think this is in a few other characters as well. And then while charged, gain an additional 50% damage reduction and resistance. Once again, I don't know if that's 50% resistance or if it's just another number that's going to appear that's way higher than that, because 50% resistance is not a lot. But essentially, he's immune to damage while he has charges. It's just that, like I said, so that's when it's on other characters' enemy turns back from up here. But when he takes his turn, he's going to lose the remaining charge, ideally, I suppose, and then go into his ultimate. And then during his charge, while he has charge, he gains 100% speed, which is pretty crazy, because that means his effective speed until he gets his turn is going to be extremely high, because he cannot remove his last charge until he takes a turn. So yes, he's going to be taking a lot of turns while he has charges, or at least it's going to come back around pretty quickly. This character cannot gain any new negative effects. So this is only under charge though. So he can have them with the exception of trauma, just not while he's charged. So this is designed to basically stonewall Odin, or if you have him rather, and that as long as he has charged, he's pretty much immune to. I mean, he's not going to be taking damage. He can't gain status effects as well, so he's basically guaranteed to take his turn. So while that's out of the way, let's go get to the rest of the kit, and this is going to be really important because he also has a battlefield effect, which is triggered through his basic. As far as the turn order and what you're supposed to use, whether it's on offense or defense, I can't tell you that because I've not played with him. I don't know what the intent is for, the turn order of the skills, that kind of thing. I can only just tell you what he does here. Gungnir's, I think it's Gungnir, is a silent G, I think there. Gungnir's Onslaught, that's what I'm going to say. AoE attack with 300% piercing plus drain, plus clear 3 positive effects, plus steal health from all enemies and redistribute to self. This is going to be really important because he does a lot of redistribution mechanics, but like based on his health, he heals other people on the team using his own health. This bypasses heal block, and then this attack redistributes 50% of this character's max health. So he's doing the damage, he's draining, and then he's redistributing that to the rest of his team, if it's required, I guess. And then clear all negative effects from self and all allies after he's done that as well. Not before, but I guess it doesn't matter because it bypasses heal block. Clear all battlefield effects on the enemy aside and apply the battlefield effect All Father's Fury to the enemy side. And just to be very clear, Mark of Mephisto this would apply and remove Mark of Mephisto. So I think getting this out is going to be really important, because then when you take a look at it, All Father's Fury battlefield effect, if this is active at the start of an enemy's turn, on the enemy turn end, it's weird English, I don't know, on enemy turn's end, I don't know, anyways, Odin will use his basic again. So he does a basic. This basic attack happens every single time an enemy turn's end. Enemy turn ends. That's what I meant to say. So he's regurgitating this basic over and over and over again, and its AoE does a good amount of damage, and it's draining, and it's rehealing the team every single time they finish their turn. It's kind of crazy. And then he's got this, like, when forced to attack an ally, character deals less damage. I guess it's like a mind control thing, I believe. Like, I don't know why. I don't know if that's a concern or if it will be a concern. But yeah, basically he is not going to do much damage if he's forced to attack his allies, I guess. So that's his basic. I mean, I think that you want to get this out pretty early, the All Father's battlefield effect, because after that he's just re-spamming the basic, and it's just going to reapply the battlefield effect over and over again, and he's spamming the skill. So I think you need to get this out ASAP. So that's that. His special, which is called Odin's Sleep, gain plus 10 charged up to a maximum of 20. Clear exposed from this character. Clear all exhaust. Now, to be clear here, I think he's going to lead with this because there's nothing in the passive stating that he spawns with charges. So I think this is actually, maybe he's really fast to begin with, and I think you start with this actually because you want to get more of those charges, right? So that he's immune to damage. Clear all exhausted. This is the part where you clear Mephisto's exhaust from his ultimate thing, his book, right? So that's the counter to Mephisto. And then clear all negative effects from self and all allies, and keep in mind that Odin can't be traumatized anyways, so there goes that one. And then clear exposed as well, just from him though. So heals self and all allies for 100% of this character's max health, and barrier self and all Asgardian allies for 50% of his max health. Again, that's, as far as I'm aware, this is the only Asgardian callout, which is not huge. But I mean, he's insane anyway, so it probably doesn't matter who the hell you're pairing him up with. Apply speed up, defense up, offense up, and immunity for 3 turns to self and all allies. Now, keep in mind that I don't believe he can actually benefit from the speed up, so I'm not sure what happens or if it just doesn't apply to the character. But yeah, because of the damage reduction that he has innately anyways, it's not going to really matter. But he should get the rest of the buffs, I think, including speed up, I'm pretty sure. If this character has used their basic, counterattack, or assist, clear all battlefield effects and apply All Father's Fury. So we know from the first bit for the basic, I'm going to go, can I scroll back here, that it applies. He gets on his passive, sorry, he has a 100% chance basically for assist now, which then could trigger as long as he's done this part, right? So he's done a assist, which means that he could get the All Father's Fury off of the special if somebody else goes before Odin. So he'll assist, Odin will assist off that other character, that faster character, and then when he uses Odin's Sleep, it will apply All Father's Fury. So you don't necessarily need to do the basic to do that, it would seem. So that's that. That's a very supporty kind of skill, and I think that's probably what he's going to do on the first turn, but that's just my guess. The ultimate, Odin Force. Clear barrier on all enemies. I'm pretty sure that's all barrier on all enemies. I'm just going to assume. AoE piercing damage plus flip all positive effects into negative effects. Apply heal block, disrupt, and apply blind to all characters, and then steal 50% health from all enemies and redistribute to self. This bypasses heal block and death proof, and this attack redistributes a maximum of 50% of his max health to his team, I suppose. I don't know if it's missing some text there, but I think that's very similar to the basic, what the basic does with the redistribution. Like I said, he's doing a lot of damage, and he's redistributing to the team like almost all the time. But this part, it's a lot of health, a lot of damage that you're basically stealing from the enemy for the Odin Force ability. And then characters killed by this attack cannot be revived. And because it bypasses death proof, I'm pretty sure that this, like, if they hit 1 hit point, I think they're going to die. I think that's what that means, and that if they're under 50% or whatever, that they're going to instant die and they're not going to be revivable. So that's pretty good, because it's so annoying when you have these types of skills and they ping the death proof and they don't end up dying. There's a handful of other characters in the past that have done things like this. This attack also ignores defense up, is unavoidable, which is great because so many characters have evade these days, cannot be blocked, and cannot be counterattacked. So this actually seems I wouldn't say lackluster, but compared to the other skills, it seems it's okay, right? It's pretty solid. I mean, that's pretty crazy, I would say. And because you're going back to the passive, of course, when he loses all of his charges, he's going to get an instant ultimate ability anyways. And so that's the intent, I suppose, is that he's probably going to special, gain those charges. He's essentially immune to damage, and then he's going to eventually lose his charges again, and then he's going to go straight into the ultimate, I think. So special and then ultimate, I guess, is what I'm assuming, because he's losing this every time a character takes a turn or an enemy takes a turn. It actually says enemy turn, not any turn. So yeah, I guess we'll see. And then he's like basically immune to damage, and he's super fast. So it could be special, basic, and then ultimate, because he's gaining 10 charges, and I don't think he's losing that many actually between his next turn. So it could be special, basic, and then ultimate. Maybe at that point they're lower enough hit points where the 50% matters. I don't know. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. But that's the kit there. Pretty crazy. Now, the meta impact, I want to talk very briefly about what I think anyways. So using Odin's All Father's Fury battlefield effect, he's going to be constantly removing other battlefields, such as, Mephisto's Mark of Mephisto, right? Odin's passive grants him an insane double speed anytime that he has charged, which is often, I don't know how frequently he's going to be doing the Odin Sleep ability. I guess over the course of, like, let's say an actual event, like outside of arena, it might happen more than once, but in arena, it's probably only happening once. He also cannot gain any negative effects while he's charged, and he's just immune to trauma outright. So even when he doesn't have charges, he is immune to trauma. Odin cannot have his speed bar changed in any way in all game modes, and he's immune to Emma Frost's speed change as well. So that's pretty interesting there. Odin's special directly counters Mephisto through the removal of exhaust from the entire team, and Odin's ultimate Odin Force will hit very hard, given that it is piercing damage and it ignores defense up and is unavoidable. So going to be some pretty big numbers there. Also, keep in mind, guys, that Odin is going to be in the new stat era, right? Mephisto was not actually, but he had a very large stat pool, like his hit point after the fact, because they buffed him again actually later down the line. But Odin is in this new era. So when we first unlock him, he is going to have insane stats, both in the damage category and in the HP category. So he's going to be essentially redistributing, like, he's going to be full. He's a support character. He's going to be like full healing his team every time he does anything that redistributes, which is, I believe, his basic that gets spammed and his ultimate. It's just going to be absolutely crazy. And even though it's, the ultimate actually takes apparently 50% of his max health, I don't think that's a big concern because he's going to have such a huge health pool that, you're going to get this back, especially when he's spamming the battlefield effect, which is like the AoE piercing and drain every single time somebody else ends their turn. So I don't think that part's a big deal in terms of like the riskiness of him getting killed, especially at this point in the game where there's not many people who are going to stand up to him. The second thing I want to talk about is his meta impact for raids, because I think I know not many people are going to necessarily have Odin, but by the time the full Night Stalkers team comes out, I think we're talking about like end of November, honestly, because of the free to playness of those character events. I think that it's possible that some people actually, or even the top 1 to 2% people, might have Odin before having the full Night Stalkers team. And so I think that there is more potential to use Odin in the Orcus raid if it's necessary. I don't know, more than Mephisto, because he's going to have that Asgardian callout, and so there's stuff in his kit that is going to be related to that. And I think some of the other characters might have Asgardian callouts as well, which will affect Odin. So at least this will help Bifrost clear the raid nodes more so until Night Stalkers come out in late October and November. And I talked about the free-to-play event stuff there. Odin's not only an ultimate support character, but will be doing a lot of damage as well, making him probably the best character in Marvel Strike Force. But we will have to wait and see how he plays in conjunction with Mephisto in the arena. I am assuming that, the meta is going to end up being Odin, Mephisto, and the 3 Annihilators. But, that's just my guess at this point in time, because I think that Apocalypse is probably going to be out the window, or there's just not going to be a whole lot of reasons to do that, especially if you can't trauma Odin. You're going to need people with raw stats, which are people in the new era, essentially, of characters. So that is Odin. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. There's a lot here, I understand. It's a pretty big kit, but just know that he's going to be the next big thing to come to Marvel Strike Force. He's going to be pretty crazy, and I wanted to share this with you guys here. He's going to be around the corner pretty soon. It honestly probably won't be long until you see a public official version of his max level skills and things like that. So if you want, you can bench it across my video here at a later point in time. But I wanted to share with you what I knew about Odin so that you guys could start thinking about him and getting hyped for that, because honestly, it's a pretty big thing. And the other thing is that I think that Odin's going to be a little bit easier to obtain because there's no gear tier 19 requirement for it. So it'll be interesting, because I've talked to some people who think that they might actually get Odin before they get Mephisto, because they're just starting the red gear grind now, but they've been working on purple ISO already, and so that might be what ends up happening. That would be pretty crazy, but we'll have to wait and see further on what ends up happening down the line as far as purple ISO goes. So that's going to be it for now for this video, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed, and there's going to be more videos, of course, on the Boilon channel, as there always is, as early as I can get that information to you all. So that's the end. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you later. Boilon signing out.